Welcome to our 6-minute stretch, challenge number 9. Our strategic response this week is going to be on interpersonal relationships. And as you might know, this is one of our keys to our ability to bounce back. And they are extremely, very critical. And when I'm talking about interpersonal relationships, I'm not talking about the quantity of relationships that you have, but it's the quality. And we know that research has shown that we all need human interaction. And where we are today makes it even more challenging for all of us to make sure we have these strong interpersonal relationships. And one of the questions I'll start with today is to get you thinking about, are your relationships more transactional in nature, or are they more mindful interactions? We'll give you some tips around those items today, but even in our future bounce back factors, we're going to spend a little bit more time on interpersonal relationships as well, because we believe they are so important. So where do we start today? We're going to start with the EQI 2.0 model and share with you the definition of emotional intelligence. And as we're talking about this, you'll see there's a note on the screen, and I want to help you understand this. That when we talk about interpersonal relationships, it does not mean that you have to be an extrovert. Again, it's about the quality of the relationships that you have. So what is it actually measuring? It's our ability to establish and maintain mutually satisfying relationships. And embedded in there is the give and take. Do I feel good about the relationships I have? And am I there in the moment when I interact with people, whether it's on the computer screen, whether it's 6 feet apart, on the telephone, or with my children, am I there? One of the great quotes that Sarah and I like to use is from a guy named Dale Carnegie. And I think if you get nothing else out of us but this quote, and you understand what it means, that you build. And what he said is, you need to talk so people will listen, and listen so people will talk. And I think that is a great thing. And when we think about it, this blew me away years ago, but it doesn't anymore. But research has shown that this is the process for our brains. And, I'm going to give you a moment here to think about it, that our conversation turns inward within how much time while we're speaking to someone else? 17 seconds. And for some of us, like myself, it's much shorter than that. So what do we do to make sure we are there in the moment? The good news is, if you've been on these 6-minute stretches before, I'm now going to turn it over to the smart person within the Throat Group, and she's going to share with you what you need to be thinking about. So Sarah, have at it.
Yeah, and so one of the things that's interesting, Denny, is nobody's going to be surprised by this. If you've been on any of our prior 6-minute stretches, we're going to start in the same place, awareness. We want you to give yourself a moment to ask yourself this question: what's getting in my way from being fully focused, fully into a moment, so I am capable of creating that mutual connection? Well, one of the things that we often do is give people that homework exercise, but some of the most common things that people share include environmental distractions. Now, when we are in our office environment, that one's easy. It's our computer screen, it's our phone, it's our work. But when we are in a work from home environment, for some of you, that is now your dog or your kids, or you're sharing space, or you've got a neighbor doing a yard project and there's tons of noise. But whatever it is, you have to be mindful that those environmental distractions can stop you from being able to create a mutual moment with someone else. Another one is multitasking. We talked in the mental 6-minute stretch about how we can dilute our energies into multiple places, being less than our best at any of them, and how important that is to really give yourself a chance to lift up, to be in a mutual moment by stopping the moments of that connection of multitasking, so you're just looking singularly at one thing. In addition, I just wanted to throw in there, rate of speech is such an interesting one. You may be a faster paced person or a more methodical person, and when you're with someone else who's the opposite pace, that can be a distraction, and that can stop you from being all in. And then finally, I'll just tell you, one of my favorites is our emotional bias. We do create prior experiences that come into the fold when we're in a moment, and sometimes they will stop us from being fully objective to what's going on in front of us because we're clouding it with that prior bias. So once you make your list of what is it that's stopping me from being all in and fully present, now your job is to actually start reducing those distractions. So a couple of the things that we like to get people started with, just some ideas of how to get this going. The first one is to reduce those environmental distractions and have what we call a heart-to-heart. If you've got a computer screen or a phone or work in front of you and someone says, hey, you got a minute, just turn your posture so that your heart is facing their heart, and all of a sudden you are more capable of reducing the distraction and having a mutual moment. In addition, going along with that, don't engage in a conversation until you know you're ready to be all in. If you are right in the middle of something that has got your full focus and someone asks for your attention and you know that's going to dilute you from listening to them, you say, I want to make sure I give you my full attention. Can I come get you in 5 minutes? Give them a chance to really get your full attention. Now, in order to do that, you might need to do this third one, which is to remove any distractions that you can actually take care of. So whether that be hiding your cell phone or turning your computer screen, or if you have to actually move to a different room in your house for a call, give yourself a chance to be in the position of control of your attention. And then the last one is actually around energy management. We love this one, but our brains are not designed to go for more than 90 minutes at our full throttle energy. So if you really want to be all in, don't start a conversation at minute 93 without some renewal. So tell someone, hey, I need just a few minutes to kind of get recentered, and then let's start that up. It's one of the most successful things you could intentionally do, and we want to encourage you to give it a shot. Now, in addition to those, one of the other things that we like to make sure that you remember is that you've got to make sure that you try connecting. In the remote environment we're in, it really does make it challenging. So just a few tips, and I'll run through them quickly. The first one is to take some extra time in the message that you're going to actually share. Sometimes when we are remote, it's hard to understand the full concept. So being mindful of what people are going through before you share it can make sure that context is set up nicely for that neutral moment. In addition, try skipping emails as the way you communicate. There are plenty of ways you could either do a video message or, of course, do a live video feed to connect with others. There's softwares like Loom that are really easily accessible, most of which are free. In addition, on my list is to remind people why we're making decisions. When you are remote distance, sometimes we get right to the decision and we forget to tell them why we're doing it. Still stay connected by giving them as much background as possible. Also, make sure you admit what's going on in your life, right? To give means tell them your vulnerabilities, your struggles, and the things that they can relate to when they hear them from you. And finally, try making sure you connect before you dive into the intent of an agenda. Don't go straight to step one, step two. Maybe say, hey, what's going on? And connect for just a few minutes, because that's what creates those mutual moments and gives you a real shot at having higher quality relationships, as Denny mentioned. So now, Denny, it's time for them to get to work.
Yeah, it's back to the challenge, and we do this quickly on purpose so you get some information, you can go hit this challenge and, grow as an individual. Start increasing your interpersonal relationships by practicing some of the things that we talked about. And Sarah gave some great advice, and one of the key things is we're on the video software now. We hear people having Zoom fatigue 9 hours a day. We still need to have the eye contact. We need to square up our hearts with people, not be over here doing other things. So we got to make sure that we're doing that. Secondly, invite others within your team to help them with this as well, because if you're going to build interpersonal relationships, it's with other people. So share it with those individuals. So at the end of every challenge that we say, it's go time. So let's do this. Have a great week.